Hi and welcome to this video about a topic that is both common and critical and affects every single F-14 Tomcat departing from a carrier. A more thorough discussion is available on the website, see the link in the description below, and draft 5 of my book. So the carrier is a big chunk of metal. It affects a few components, especially the ones dedicated to the determination of the magnetic heading of the F-14. There are at least 3 ways to spot the problem. The first is part of the routine of every RIO. From the cap, select nav and then magvar heading button. See the difference between the computed magnetic variation VC and the manual magnetic variation VM? They are normally quite close, so what you're seeing now is not good. The other way to spot the problem is on the right side of the TID. Note the acronym MV alternating with the one indicating the current up mode, in this case INS. This happens when VC and VM differ more than a few degrees. Note also that the acronyms keep alternating even when the different functions on the TID are being used. The last method is available in the front seat, but happens in a specific situation when the aircraft is flying steady and level in an unaccelerated flight. We will get into this situation in a moment. There are 2 ways to address the problem. Both require the pilot to fly straight and steady at constant speed. The first is the one mentioned in my previous video as well. Wait until the resync happens automatically. The ratio for the sync is about 9 degrees per minute. The second is much more efficient, and this is what the recent comp bug fix was about. The pilot can now press the heading push button in the compass control panel when the sync indicator is off-centered to quickly re-erect the AHRS and fix the problem in a few seconds. Flying straight and level requires some work with the throttle and the trim. The altitude hold autopilot helps as well, but I'm not really sure that this is a realistic means to do it. When you're set and the sync indicator moves, hold the heading push button and the resync happens very quickly. Nice and easy. There are 2 topics that we can discuss. The first is navigation. In order to keep the discussion short, I will immediately clarify that the situation is not as dire as it sounds. The waypoints and detailed information, in fact, all rely on the positioning system rather than the magnetic information collected by the aircraft. Thus, our magnetic variation can be off by 180 degrees, and it won't really matter. The desync becomes a problem as soon as we move out of the ordinary. Dead reckoning, pilotage, IFR, airport charts, specific instructions from a controller are all areas that are simply not practicable unless the desync is sorted out. However, thanks to the fact that the resync happens automatically, some sort of relief appears at the horizon. What you're looking at is a tac view track taken from a test I made. I flew for about 20 minutes, and that's why you're watching a screenshot. As you can see, I departed, added to my indicated 274 degrees magnetic because the mag barrier was 4.9 degrees, climbed to cruise altitude and then adjusted as the AHRS resynchronized itself. Every time, after a short correction, the sync paused and then resumed. Eventually, I was somewhat close to the correct heading. The evident problem here is that the delayed correction introduced a very visible positional offset that must be corrected. Still, it is in an air-to-air scenario where the problem strikes the most. Although data link contacts are displayed correctly, as long as the INS is not drifted, every bearing referencing the aircraft will be off, AHRS included. Let's see what happens here. Takeoff, short climb, boogie dope for bearing 272 through.
Overlord 1-1, Colt 1-1, request bogey dope. Colt 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 272, 450 at 5,000 knots.
I turn to the equivalent magnetic and there's nothing. Let's now sort out the compass and ask for another boogie dope. As you can see, it's very easy, even without the use of any autopilot.
bogey dope. Colt 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 272 440 at 5,000 knots.
Bearing 272 true again, and there he is, almost right on the nose, and not too bad considering that the computed magnetic variation is never perfect down to the minute, and then the target is drifting whilst I'm maneuvering. And there you have it. This is how you can recognize and sort out this pesky problem when you operate from a carrier with the F-14 Tomcat. I tried to be very concise in this video and I hope I succeeded. On my website and book you can find a more comprehensive chapter about this topic, still written using the same simpler and less detailed approach. If you want to go deeper, and I strongly encourage you to do so, you can find a more in-depth study split in multiple parts that discusses the technical aspects, the components, and the basic troubleshooting of the issues that can affect the INS of the F-14, again on my website and in my book. Thanks for watching again, take care.